Going back into some of these other to kind of round off this list of guys that are trending downwards, we're looking at two bigs in Jaren Jackson Jr. and Bam Adebayo that are known for either being really good defensive players, like the space of the floor, or having great spacing as bigs in the modern NBA, right? That can really knock down shots. Both of them aren't doing a stellar job of that, whether it's like really spacing the floor or being super aggressive, attacking the paint. I know you have some really strong opinions on Bam, being a really avid Heat fan. But what have you maybe seen from either of those two guys that might be a little problematic? It's, that might really make it hard for their teams to really go far in this playoff run.
Yeah, I'll start with Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson he's a player that many of us labeled a unicorn when he was entering the NBA because of his combination of size and skill and shooting ability. So, he showcased that at times. I still think he's an incredible shooter for his size, but that hasn't been on display in the series. I mean, he's shooting right around 30% from three for the series, which is 4 games deep now. So you expect more from him. But the bigger problem for the Memphis Grizzlies is he can't stay on the court because of his foul trouble. I went back and I looked at the average amount of fouls for him per season in his career, and he's routinely been above 3 fouls per season, per game for the season. And then in the playoffs, it's even worse. Last year in the playoffs, he was at 4 fouls per game. And this season, he's at 5 fouls per game. So it's a problem that should be getting better, not worse, as you become an older player with more experience. I mean, he's 22, which is still pretty young, but it's his 4th season in the league. So I'm just concerned as to why he can't limit his fouls. It's the same problem that Cat's having. These two big men just can't get themselves out of foul trouble. I don't know what the problem is. They just find themselves putting their hands in the cookie jar too often, and then that results in fouls being called on them. They get themselves into foul trouble. So it's really a shame, and I hope that it's something that Jackson can clean up, because this is going to limit his ceiling. Because if you can't stay on the court, obviously there's only so much you can do. You go look at his minutes played in this series so far. He was at 24 for game 1. He got up to 26 minutes in game 2, which they won, 21 minutes in game 3, and then 23 minutes in game 4. This is a starter that's playing less than 27 minutes a game in a playoff series. Now, that's just not a good sign. You want your best players to be on the court as much as possible. He just can't do that. So it's really a shame. And then transitioning to Bam, I think his problem is it's not the fouls. I mean, his fouls are fine. It's the offensive production, and that's been lacking because he's not getting the shot attempts that I think he should be getting. You're playing a Hawks team without Clint Capella and John Collins at maybe 70%, and he's shooting 6 shots a game, 6.7 shots per game. Now, let's flash back to the 2020 bubble against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. I went back and looked at the numbers. He averaged 21, almost 22 points a game in that series, and he shot 13 shots a game. That's more than double that he's shooting right now. And guess what? They won the series. And he's getting paid $28 million now. He's not a rookie scale contract anymore. He's not a second-year player that's just trying to find his way in the league. I mean, he's a veteran now. He's in his 5th year. So I expect Bam to take over more of a share of the offense. Part of that is because of guys like Jimmy and Kyle just not getting him the ball in the right spots. But I want to see more actions run through Bam, more pick and rolls. I want to see him run directly to the rim more often, as opposed to just kind of popping and staying around the elbow where he wants to distribute. Like, he's a great passer. That's awesome. Like, sometimes you do want him to be a passer, but there should be more occasions as to where he's a featured scorer, because he's one of the fundamental pieces of the future for the Heat. He's going to be around for the next 5 years. So you might as well get him incorporated in the offense so he can make more things happen.